The champagne flute felt heavy in my hand, another forced smile. The New York Innovation Summit glittered, but all I saw was Chad, my brother, basking in the spotlight. Amazing acquisition, his voice boomed. Sterling Ventures is on the verge of, my mother, ever the social butterfly, fluttered nearby. And Ava, darling, still enjoying your freelance work? Her tone dripped with polite dismissal. Dad, bless his heart, chimed in. Consulting is fine, but it's no legacy, is it? I swallowed, the bitter taste of their ignorance a familiar flavor. They had no idea. Zero. While they preened and celebrated, my world hummed with a quiet intensity they couldn't fathom. 36, single, and a tech consultant in Austin, Texas. That's what they thought. They saw the surface, a competent woman navigating the freelance world. They didn't see the billion-dollar empire I controlled. 5 floors in a downtown skyscraper, not some co-working space. Ironically, Chad's own company had even tried to recruit Vertex Solutions. My company, my creation, 3 years. That's how long it's been since I walked away from Sterling Ventures. The final board meeting, the air in the room thick with dismissals. My warnings, labeled alarmist. The vulnerabilities I pointed out in their systems ignored. My own father, chair of the board, patted my hand, his words a gentle, condescending nudge toward less stressful pursuits. That rejection, that's the seed. The catalyst. Instead of arguing, I walked. I packed my bags, my laptop, and my determination. I remember the sting of Chad's triumphant smirk. The way my mother's perfectly manicured nails tapped impatiently on the table. The moment I chose secrecy, it wasn't a single event but a slow burn, a gradual hardening of my resolve, the realization that they wouldn't see me, that they wouldn't respect my vision, that I would have to build it myself in the shadows. The early days were brutal, ramen noodles and sleepless nights. Coding sessions that bled into dawn, but the fuel, their disbelief, their condescension. Their absolute, unwavering certainty that I wasn't cut out for the big leagues. My first major client, Global Systems Integration. A contract worth $5 million. I remember the feeling of triumph, the quiet satisfaction of knowing I had built something from nothing. I could have told them. I could have flaunted it. But the thought of their predictable reactions, the patronizing pats on the back, I couldn't stomach it. I kept Vertex Solutions separate. My own world. The name Ava Sterling became a double life. I hired the best, the brightest, the ones who understood. We built firewalls, secured networks, and quietly, steadily amassed a fortune. We're talking about a 40% year-over-year growth. Our client list read like a who's who of Fortune 500 companies. The weight of this hidden empire, it's heavy, but it's also exhilarating. Every line of code, every strategic decision, every successful breach averted, it's a testament to my vision, my resilience. And now Chad, straightest logic, his inevitable success, his oblivious triumph, it all comes down to this. I have to be there to stop them, to expose the truth. The press conference is set for tomorrow. The room will be packed. The lights will be blinding. And I, Ava Sterling, CEO of Vertex Solutions, will finally reveal myself. The time has come. The daily grind was a stark contrast to my reality. At the Austin Farmers Market, I haggled over organic produce, the vendor completely unaware that his entire digital infrastructure was secured by Vertex. I'd overhear conversations about Ava Sterling, the consultant, people speculating about my modest lifestyle. Little did they know, the portfolio I managed included a diverse array of holdings. A private equity arm, Vertex Capital, controlled 30% stakes in 5 AI startups, each valued in the hundreds of millions. We had a dedicated team of 150 cybersecurity experts and another 50 specializing in quantum computing. My private jet, a Gulfstream G650, sat in a hangar at Austin Bergstrom International Airport, untouched. I preferred the anonymity of my aging Volvo, easily blending into the Texas landscape. I was actively avoiding the use of the jet and any signs of wealth to avoid tipping off my family. The irony was a constant companion. During family dinners, my father would discuss investment strategies. I'd listen intently, biting my tongue, knowing the investment returns Vertex generated in a single quarter often surpassed Sterling Ventures' annual profits. I'd see their faces, searching for clues, for any hint of the massive scale of my enterprise. I maintained a constant poker face. Chad, bless his heart, would call me for tech advice, completely oblivious to the fact I could buy and sell his entire company 5 times over. "Ava, you wouldn't happen to know a good firewall vendor, would you?" he'd ask. I would offer gentle advice, knowing that his ignorance was bliss and my leverage. The core of Vertex's success lay in its proactive approach. We didn't wait for breaches, we anticipated them. Our algorithms identified and neutralized threats before they could even register on the radar. We had contracts with 20 government agencies, and our annual revenue was approaching $800 million. My office, the penthouse suite of the Frostbank Tower, was a world unto itself. The walls were lined with screens displaying real-time threat maps and the latest market data. My team, a group of brilliant, eccentric minds, worked tirelessly to keep the world safe, and my secret safe. The Stratus Logic acquisition was the culmination of months of planning. I'd identified their vulnerabilities, developed a comprehensive counter strategy, and positioned Vertex to make a superior offer. The plan was precise, the execution flawless. My legal team, led by the formidable Sarah Chen, had prepped the paperwork. The day before the press conference, I received a call from Chad. "Ava, I need your help. We've hit a snag." Something about a competing offer. They're calling themselves Vertex Solutions. His voice was strained. The dramatic irony was almost unbearable. I paused, a slow smile creeping across my face. "I'll look into it, Chad," I said, the words dripping with anticipation. The clock was ticking. I spent the next few hours meticulously reviewing the final presentation slides. Every detail had to be perfect. The logo, the financial projections, the team introductions all had to convey power, competence, and the quiet authority that had become my signature. I stared at my reflection. The tailored suit, the carefully chosen hairstyle, the understated jewelry, all designed to project an image of success, not ostentation. The image I was projecting was an authentic representation of myself. Sarah Chen entered, her face impassive. "Everything is locked in, Ava. The offer is cleaner, the terms are superior. They can't refuse." I nodded, a quiet sense of satisfaction washing over me, but as she reviewed the legal documents again, a wave of nausea swept over me. This was it. No turning back. The destruction was a necessary act. The collateral damaged my brother. The realization, the humiliation, would be public. The next morning, I drove myself to the conference. The familiar streets of Austin were suddenly charged with a strange energy. The air crackled with anticipation. I stopped at a coffee shop and purchased a black coffee with no sugar. I saw Chad's face on the massive screens outside the venue. His triumphant smile. The headline screamed, "Sterling Ventures to acquire Stratus Logic." My heart pounded. Inside, the room buzzed with excitement. Cameras flashed. Reporters jostled for position. I spotted my parents, their faces radiant with pride. Chad stood at the podium, the picture of success. He was about to seal his deal. I adjusted my tie, took a deep breath, and walked towards the entrance, my team in tow. The doors opened and the room went silent. The flashbulbs momentarily blinded me. The hushed murmurs ceased. All eyes snapped to the unexpected intrusion. Chad froze mid-sentence, his smile melting into a mask of confusion. My parents' faces registered shock, then dawning horror. I stepped forward, my team flanking me, a phalanx of silent professionals. Sarah Chen, her gaze steady, offered me the final documents. "Good afternoon," I began, my voice amplified by the microphone, calm, even. "I believe there's been a slight misunderstanding." Chad's eyes widened. He stammered, "Ava, what are you doing here?" His carefully constructed composure crumbled. I continued, ignoring his question. "Stratus Logic has accepted a superior offer, an offer from Vertex Solutions." I paused for dramatic effect, letting the name hang in the air. The silence shattered. A collective gasp rippled through the room. The reporters scrambled, pens poised. Chad's jaw dropped. His face flushed crimson. "Vertex Solutions?" my father sputtered, his face contorted in disbelief. "But that's..." he trailed off, utterly lost. My mother's pearls, usually a constant source of movement, were frozen on her chest. Her perfectly coiffed hair seemed to deflate, her carefully applied lipstick smudged. "Yes, Dad," I said, my voice unwavering. "Vertex Solutions, the company I founded, the company that will be acquiring Stratus Logic." I gestured to my team. "And I am the CEO." The room exploded. Chaos reigned. Reporters surged forward, shouting questions. Chad stood paralyzed, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. My father looked as if he'd been struck. My mother's eyes were wide, unseeing. "How?" Chad finally managed, his voice a choked whisper. "How could you?" I turned to him, a flicker of pity in my gaze. "You underestimated me, Chad, all of you did." The words were a cold, hard truth. The immediate aftermath was a blur. Board members, previously dismissive, now swarmed me, offering congratulations and flattery. Sterling Ventures investors, panicked, clamored for a meeting. Apologies, insincere and desperate, were offered. "We were wrong, Ava," my father mumbled, his voice barely audible. "So very wrong." Shame radiated from him. "Ava, darling," my mother began, her voice trembling, we didn't understand." Her carefully cultivated image had shattered. I ignored them. I held my ground, managing the situation with a steely resolve. I granted interviews, fielding questions with practiced ease. My legal team handled the acquisition. I offered to buy Sterling Ventures, a strategic move to secure the company from Chad's mismanagement. The offer was accepted, their control wrested away. The company became my own, a new chapter. That night, I sat in my office, overlooking the twinkling lights of Austin. The city was a testament to my silent power. The weight of my empire, the price of my success, settled upon my shoulders. The victory was mine, but it was hollow. The taste of vindication was mingled with the bitter tang of familial betrayal. The revelation had been swift, brutal, and complete. My phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from board members, potential investors, and of course my family. I ignored them all, the notifications a constant reminder of the seismic shift I had triggered. Chad, after the initial shock, had retreated, refusing my calls. His anger was a predictable, yet still painful, consequence. He'd lost face, his ambition thwarted by his own sister. The sting of his failure was compounded by the sudden, unexpected power I now wielded. My parents, however, took a different approach. They began a relentless campaign of attempts at reconciliation. They sent flowers, left voicemails filled with apologies, and even showed up at my office, unannounced, bearing gifts. Their desperation was palpable, a stark contrast to the dismissive attitude of the past. "Ava, honey, can we talk?" my mother pleaded, her voice cracking during one of her attempts to reach me by phone. We want to understand." My father, ever the pragmatist, attempted a more direct approach. "Ava, your mother and I made some mistakes," he admitted when he finally cornered me in the office, his voice a low murmur. "We underestimated you. We were wrong. We want to make things right." He paused, then added, "We're proud of you." Pride. After years of being overlooked, of being subtly diminished, they were finally proud. It was a strange, unsettling feeling. The board members who had once treated me with polite indifference now hung on my every word. They showered me with praise, offering advice and showering me with opportunities. They were desperate to be associated with the winning team. "We should have listened to you, Ava," one of them confessed during a board meeting, his tone unctuous. "You saw things we didn't." My team, those brilliant minds who had helped build Vertex Solutions, were celebrating my triumph. They threw a party, and the atmosphere was filled with relief, pride, and a renewed sense of purpose. "We always knew you could do it, Ava," Sarah Chen, my legal counsel, said, raising her glass. "You just needed to show them." The media, of course, was relentless. My face was plastered on every magazine cover, every news website. Interviews were requested, profiles were written, and analysts dissected my every move. The anonymity I'd cherished was gone. It was replaced by constant scrutiny, a feeling of exposure that was both exhilarating and exhausting. My daily life changed. Security protocols tightened. My Volvo was replaced with an armored SUV. My every movement was planned and tracked. The simple act of going to the grocery store became an ordeal. The acquisition of Sterling Ventures was swift and clean. I installed a new leadership team, bringing in seasoned professionals who shared my vision. The company was rebuilt from the ground up, its vulnerabilities addressed. The weight of leading this expanded empire was heavier now. I was responsible for the livelihoods of thousands, for the security of countless systems. The pressure was immense. I found myself reflecting on the journey. The years of hard work, the sacrifices made, the silent determination that had driven me forward. The story wasn't about revenge, but about proving my vision and value. I realized that I didn't need them to acknowledge my success. My work was enough. My creation was a testament to my capabilities. One evening, I stood in my office, overlooking the city. The lights of Austin twinkled below, a vast expanse of possibilities. I had created something lasting, something valuable. I thought of the irony of it all. My family, so consumed with their own perceptions, had been blind to the truth. They underestimated me, and they paid the price. I smiled. The bitterness had faded, replaced by a sense of quiet satisfaction. I was no longer just Ava Sterling, the tech consultant. I was Ava Sterling, the CEO of Vertex Solutions, a force to be reckoned with. And the future stretched before me, vast and unknown, filled with both challenges and opportunities. The next challenge was to build a lasting legacy. The phone buzzed again. Chad, I ignored it. Then another call from my mother, and the barrage of emails. The world had fractured. It had been a week since the press conference, a week since I'd revealed everything. The initial shock had worn off, revealing the raw wounds beneath. The practicalities were relentless. My schedule, once my own, was now a carefully orchestrated dance of meetings, interviews, and public appearances. My personal assistant, a woman named Diane, who had been with me for years and knew me better than most, was now managing my life, fielding calls from family, and coordinating my every move. Her demeanor had shifted, a respectful deference replacing our easy camaraderie. She had witnessed the shift, too. My relationships were strained. Chad remained unreachable. The silence from him was a heavy weight, a constant reminder of the damage I had inflicted. The love, the shared childhood memories, were overshadowed by the public humiliation. I wasn't sure if we could ever recover from this. My parents were a different story. Their attempts at reconciliation continued, a mixture of genuine remorse and a desperate desire to regain their place in my life. They wanted to be part of my world now, to bask in the reflected glory. They were no longer dismissive, but overly attentive, constantly seeking my approval. Their newfound pride was a constant ache, a reminder of their past blindness. I began to see them in a new light. Their behavior revealed a deep-seated insecurity, a need to be seen as successful. Their validation was a need I had always craved, but now it felt tainted. Daily life was a minefield. The grocery store became a paparazzi hunt. My quiet drives were now shadowed by security detail. Every restaurant outing became a photo opportunity. The anonymity I had once cherished was lost, replaced by an unrelenting spotlight. I found myself retreating, seeking solace in the familiar routine of my work. The demands of leading Vertex Solutions had increased exponentially. I had to make all the decisions, steer the ship, and manage the constant flow of information. The weight of responsibility was immense. I had to decide which relationships were worth salvaging and which were beyond repair. Chad's silence was a dagger. My parents' constant attempts at reconciliation were a reminder of their past failings. During those weeks, I had to make a pivotal decision. Should I try to reconcile with Chad or accept that our relationship was damaged beyond repair? I knew I needed time. The constant attention had unexpected consequences. New business opportunities flooded in. Investors were vying for a piece of Vertex. The company grew even faster, expanding into new markets and acquiring smaller tech firms. The power, the influence, was intoxicating. It was also isolating. My own feelings were a complex mix of triumph, regret, and exhaustion. The vindication was sweet, but it came at a cost. I had achieved my goals, but the prize was not what I expected. I started therapy. I needed a neutral space to navigate this new reality. I needed to understand the choices I had made and the person I had become. I had to examine my motivations, my desires, my flaws. It was a difficult, uncomfortable journey. The irony of my situation was not lost on me. I had built a billion-dollar empire in secret to prove my worth, and now that secret was out. I was forced to live in the public eye, and the very anonymity I craved was gone. The next step was to fully merge Sterling Ventures into Vertex Solutions. The integration would be complex. The cultures clashed. The employees of Sterling Ventures resented my control. I had to navigate the delicate balance between justice and compassion. The final image of the story wasn't of triumph, but of a quiet contemplation. The storm had passed. The dust had settled. The landscape had been forever changed. The final step was to set up my family's future. I needed to help my brother. The road ahead was clear. I would offer him a leadership position at Vertex. The road ahead would be long, and the work was only just beginning. The question remained, would he accept my offer, or would the rift between us be too deep to heal? The city lights blurred below, a glittering expanse mirroring the vastness of what I'd built and what I'd lost. Success, I realized, wasn't a destination, but a constant negotiation with reality. I had traded anonymity for recognition, family for empire, and a quiet satisfaction for a complicated burden. The truth? The real cost wasn't the secrecy, but the illusion of control it created. What I'd gained was the tangible proof of my vision, the power to shape my world. What I'd lost was the simple, unburdened Ava. Perception is a fickle mistress, and family, a knot that can bind or break. The world sees the skyscraper, the empire. I see the quiet girl who dared to dream and the woman she became. The story now isn't mine alone. It's a question. What hidden battles are you fighting, and what price are you willing to pay for the victory only you can see?